The massive doors of Galactic Academy opened with a loud sound. Every alien student in the hall stopped moving. They all turned to look at the entrance. 3 young humans walked inside. They were smiling and looking around with excitement. The humans had no idea what was happening. They waved their hands in a friendly way to the other students. But nobody waved back. Every alien face showed fear. A small green alien named ZYX was standing near the door. His 4 arms started shaking. He whispered to his friend Kree, who stood beside him, "Are those the creatures from the Death World?" Kree's blue skin turned even more pale. "Yes, those are humans. They come from Earth." The word Earth made several other aliens step backward. One alien dropped his books on the floor. Another alien quickly walked away toward the exit. The 3 humans did not notice any of this. They were too busy looking at all the amazing alien technology around them. The boy named Jake pointed at a floating screen. "Wow, this place is incredible." The girl named Sarah laughed. "I know, right? This is like science fiction come to life." The 3rd human named Marcus just smiled and adjusted his backpack. The academy guide appeared. He was a tall robot with glowing eyes. "Welcome, human students. Please follow me to your first class." The humans followed happily. As they walked through the halls, every alien moved out of their way. Some aliens pressed themselves against the walls. Others ran into nearby rooms. ZYX watched all of this happen. He felt confused. The humans looked so normal. They looked weak and small compared to most aliens here. So why was everyone so terrified? His friend Kree grabbed his arm with 2 of her thin hands. "Stay away from them, ZYX. I heard terrible things about their planet." "What kind of things?" Kree's voice dropped to a whisper. "Earth is rated Class 12. ZYX felt his heart stop. He had 4 hearts, and all of them froze at the same time. Class 12 was the highest danger rating in the entire galaxy. Only 2 other planets had that rating. Both of those planets had killed every research team sent to study them. No intelligent life had ever survived on a Class 12 world. It was impossible. But these humans were walking and talking and smiling. How were they even alive? The robot guide led the humans into a large classroom. ZYX made a quick decision. He had to know the truth. He had to understand how these creatures survived the impossible. He followed them into the classroom. Kree tried to stop him, but he pulled away. The classroom was huge with seats arranged in a circle. In the center was a platform where the teacher would stand. ZYX took a seat in the back row. He wanted to stay as far from the humans as possible, just to be safe. More students entered the room. All of them were keeping their distance from the 3 humans who sat together in the front row. The humans were still smiling and chatting with each other. They had no idea that everyone else in the room was afraid. Finally, the teacher arrived. Professor Thalrex was a massive reptilian alien. He stood over 3 meters tall with scales covering his entire body. His species came from a heavy gravity world. They were known as some of the toughest warriors in the galaxy. Even Professor Thalrex looked nervous today. "Good morning, students. Welcome to survival training." His deep voice echoed in the room. "This class will teach you about dangerous planets and how to survive them." He pressed a button, and a huge screen appeared behind him. The screen showed a dark planet covered in volcanoes and electrical storms. "This is Ragnar 5. It is classified as a Class 7 danger world. Only the strongest species in the galaxy can survive here. The planet has extreme temperatures, poisonous atmosphere, deadly predators." Every alien student started taking notes. They wrote down every detail about the dangerous planet. ZYX was writing so fast his hands were hurting. Then Jake raised his hand. The entire classroom went silent. Professor Thalrex looked at the human with wide eyes. "Yes, you have a question." Jake smiled in a friendly way. "Sir, this planet looks pretty similar to a normal day on Earth. Maybe like a Tuesday. Not even our worst weather." The room became so quiet you could hear breathing. Professor Thalrex's scales changed color. They went from green to white in seconds. "You think Ragnar 5 looks normal?" Jake nodded. "Yeah, I mean, we have volcanoes. We have storms. My aunt lives in tornado country. She says they are just annoying. An alien girl sitting near ZYX, made a choking sound. Another alien stood up and moved his desk to the far corner. Sarah, the human girl, noticed the movement. She looked confused. Is something wrong? Professor Thalrex took a long breath. He was clearly trying to stay calm. Class is dismissed early today. Tomorrow we will have a special lesson about Earth. Please read Chapter 15 tonight. Every alien grabbed their things and rushed out of the room. They practically ran for the exit. Only ZYX stayed behind. He needed answers. He slowly approached the humans. They were packing their bags and still smiling. Excuse me. The three humans turned to look at him. ZYX's voice was shaking, but he continued. Why did the professor look so scared when you mentioned your planet? Jake looked at Sarah and Marcus. They all shrugged. I don't know. Earth is just home. It's a nice place. Good food. Nice people. Nothing special. Marcus nodded in agreement. Yeah, man, it's pretty chill there. ZYX felt a cold feeling spread through his body. These humans truly had no idea. They did not understand that they came from the most dangerous world ever discovered. They thought their death world was normal. They thought it was nice. What kind of creatures could survive Class 12 conditions and call it chill? ZYX left the classroom with more questions than answers. That night, he could not sleep. He kept thinking about the humans and their innocent smiles. Finally, at 3 a.m, he got up. He went to the academy library. The library was empty and dark. Only the computer screens provided light. ZYX sat down at a terminal. His hands shook as he typed the word Earth into the database. The screen flashed red. Warning signs appeared everywhere. Class 12 Death World. Approach with extreme caution. Highest danger rating possible. ZYX clicked to read more. What he saw made his blood turn to ice. ZYX could not stop reading. The computer screen glowed red in the dark library. His 4 eyes scanned every line of text about Earth. Each new fact made him more terrified. Earth's gravity is 3 times the galactic standard. That meant humans were living under crushing weight every single day. Their bones and muscles had adapted to survive forces that would kill most species instantly. ZYX looked at his own thin arms. He could barely lift his backpack in normal gravity. How did humans even stand up under such pressure? The next section was about Earth's atmosphere. Oxygen levels are dangerously high. Highly reactive gas. Creates rapid oxidation and supports massive combustion events. ZYX read this 3 times to make sure he understood. Humans breathe poison. The air on their planet was so reactive it could make things burst into flames. Most species needed protective suits just to avoid oxygen exposure. But humans fill their lungs with it every second of every day. He scrolled down further. Surface is 70% covered in dihydrogen monoxide. Extremely dangerous chemical compound. Causes rapid breakdown of biological tissue through multiple pathways. His hand started shaking harder. Dihydrogen monoxide was one of the most dangerous substances known to science. It could dissolve almost anything given enough time. Entire planets had been destroyed by this chemical, and Earth was covered in it. The humans lived on a world drowning in universal solvent. But the next line made ZYX drop his datapad. Human biology has adapted to not only survive this chemical, but requires regular consumption of it for continued function. They drank it. The humans actually drank the universal solvent. They put it inside their bodies on purpose. ZYX felt sick. He wanted to stop reading, but he could not look away. The database continued with Earth's climate data. Extreme temperature variations. Regular devastating weather events. Hurricanes with wind speeds exceeding 200 kilometers per hour. Tornadoes that destroy everything in their path. Earthquakes that split the ground open. Tsunamis that swallow entire coastlines. Lightning strikes that occur 40 million times per planetary rotation. ZYX did the math in his head. That was 40 million electrical explosions hitting the surface every single day. The planet was literally attacking its own inhabitants constantly. No wonder it was rated Class 12. Nothing should be able to live there. But humans did not just live there. According to the database, Earth had over 8 billion humans. Billion, with AB. They had not just survived. They had thrived and multiplied across the entire deadly planet. ZYX kept reading through the night. He learned about Earth's tectonic plates that moved and crashed into each other. He learned about solar radiation that burned human skin. He learned about the thin atmosphere that barely protected the surface from space. By the time morning came, ZYX had not slept at all. His eyes hurt from reading. His mind hurt from trying to understand. He walked slowly back to his room. Other students were waking up and getting ready for class. ZYX saw Cree in the hallway. She took one look at his face and knew something was wrong. "What happened to you? You look terrible." "I spent all night reading about Earth." Cree's blue skin went pale again. "Why would you do that to yourself?" "Because I had to know. I had to understand." "And do you understand now?" ZYX shook his head slowly. "No, I understand less than before. The more I learn about Earth, the less sense it makes." "How are they alive, Cree? How is it possible?" They arrived at the classroom. Today it was only half full. Many students had decided to skip class. They claimed to be sick, but everyone knew the real reason. They were afraid to be near the humans. ZYX and Cree took seats in the back row again. The three humans were already sitting in front. They were laughing about something. Jake was showing the others something on his communication device. They looked so happy and relaxed, like they had no worries at all. Professor Thalrex entered the room. He looked like he had not slept either. His scales were dull and his eyes were tired. "Good morning, class. Today we begin our study of Earth. I must ask you all to please remain calm. Some of the information may be disturbing." He pressed a button, and the screen behind him lit up. It showed Earth from space. The planet looked beautiful. Blue oceans, white clouds, green and brown land masses. One alien student spoke up. "It looks so peaceful from here." Professor Thalrex nodded slowly. "Yes, many deadly things look beautiful from a distance. Never judge a planet by its appearance." He zoomed in on the surface. "Let us start with basic facts. Earth's gravity is approximately 3 times what most of you are used to." He looked directly at the humans. "Do you find our Academy's gravity comfortable?" Sarah smiled and nodded. "Oh, yes. We feel so light here. It's actually kind of fun. We can jump much higher than normal." Several aliens gasped. ZYX wrote in his notes. "Humans consider crushing gravity to be fun. They enjoy reduced weight. What is wrong with them?" Professor continued. "Earth's atmosphere contains 21% oxygen. This is considered highly toxic to most species." The human named Marcus raised his hand. "Sir, why is oxygen toxic?" "I thought all species needed it to breathe." Professor Thalrex shook his head. "Most species use methane or hydrogen or sulfur compounds. Oxygen is far too reactive. It damages cells and causes rapid aging. But your species evolved to use it. Very unusual. Very dangerous." Jake looked confused. "But oxygen is everywhere. It's in water too, right?" Professor nodded. "Yes, which brings us to our next topic." He changed the slide. The screen now showed massive oceans. Earth is covered in dihydrogen monoxide. You may know it by its common name, water. An alien in the front row actually screamed and fell out of her chair. 2 other students stood up and backed away from the screen. ZYX felt his stomach turn. Seeing that much of the deadly chemical in one place was terrifying. Professor raised his hands to calm everyone down. "Please remain seated. I know this is shocking, but we must continue." He looked at the humans. "I understand that your species drinks this substance. Is that correct?" All 3 humans nodded. Sarah spoke up. "Of course. We drink water every day." ZYX walked into the classroom and immediately noticed something different. Only 8 students had shown up today. Yesterday there were 20. The day before there were 40. Every day more aliens decided to stay away. ZYX took his usual seat in the back corner. He wanted to be as far from the front as possible. Cree sat beside him. She had brought a stress crystal that glowed softly in her hands. Many aliens from her planet used them to stay calm. The 3 humans were in their regular spots. They were chatting and laughing about something. Jake was eating a snack from a small bag. Sarah was reading a book on her device. Marcus was drawing something in a notebook. They looked so peaceful, so normal. So completely unaware of the fear around them, Professor Thalrex entered the room. He looked even worse than yesterday. His scales were now a sickly gray color. His eyes had dark circles under them. ZYX wondered if the professor had slept at all. Good morning, students. I am proud of those who returned today. You have great courage. His voice was tired but steady. Today we discuss Earth's wildlife. I must warn you that some of this information may cause distress. If you need to leave the room, please do so quietly. He paused and looked at each student. No one will judge you for leaving. Survival instinct is natural and healthy, but no one moved. Everyone stayed in their seats. They had come this far. They needed to know the truth. Professor pressed a button. The screen behind him showed a small furry creature. It had 4 legs and a long tail. Its eyes were large and green. Some aliens relaxed a little. Oh, it looks cute. Not so scary. Another alien agreed. Yes, finally something from Earth that is not terrifying. Professor Thalrex shook his head slowly. This is a common house cat. It is a domesticated predator that humans keep inside their homes. The room went silent. Did he say predator? Cree whispered. ZYX nodded. He said predator. Professor zoomed in on the image. Noticed the retractable claws. Sharp and curved for gripping prey. Notice the fangs. Designed for delivering killing bites. Notice the eyes. Forward-facing for tracking movement and judging distance. This is a hunter. An alien raised his hand. But sir, if it is dangerous, why do humans keep them inside? Professor smiled sadly. That is an excellent question that I cannot answer. Human behavior often defies logic. Jake raised his hand. Professor called on him. Yes, sir, cats are not dangerous. They are sweet and soft. They make cute sounds. They like to be petted. Professor Thalrex pulled up another image. This showed a cat attacking something. Its claws were extended. Its teeth were bared. It looked like a tiny demon. This cat is playing. This is how they practice hunting skills. Even domestic cats retain their predatory instincts. An alien girl started crying softly. Sarah heard her and turned around. She pulled out her communication device. Do you want to see videos of my cat? He is really cute. I promise. Every alien in the room shouted at once. No, put that away. Please, no. Sarah looked hurt. She put her device away. I was just trying to help. Professor continued the lesson. Let's move on to larger Earth creatures. He showed a new image. A massive brown animal with thick fur and long claws. This is called a bear. It can weigh up to 800 kilograms. It has enough strength to break trees. Its claws can cut through metal. Its bite force exceeds 1,000 pounds per square inch. ZYX did the math. One bear could destroy their entire classroom in seconds. Professor showed more images. Bears climbing, bears swimming, bears running. And they can run at speeds of 50 kilometers per hour. They can swim across rivers. They can climb trees. There's almost no escape from a bear. Marcus raised his hand. Sir, we have bears near my family's cabin. They mostly just eat berries and fish. We leave them alone, and they leave us alone. The alien stared at him. He lived near these monsters. By choice. His family had a cabin where the bears lived. What was wrong with humans? Professor moved to the next slide. This is a lion, king of the African savanna, apex predator, works in coordinated groups called prides. Another slide. This is a crocodile, has remained virtually unchanged for 200 million years. Perfect killing machine. Another slide. This is a shark. Over 400 species exist. Some grow over 6 meters long. Can detect blood from kilometers away. Each new animal was more terrifying than the last. ZYX stopped taking notes. His hands were shaking too much. Kree's stress crystal was glowing, so bright it hurt to look at. Professor continued for another 10 minutes. Wolves, tigers, leopards, pythons, anacondas. Every single creature was a nightmare, and all of them lived on Earth. Right now, walking around, hunting, existing. Finally, one alien could not take it anymore. He stood up. Professor, how do humans leave their homes? How do they survive with all these creatures everywhere? Professor Thalrex nodded. Another good question. Humans have built cities and towns. They have created safe zones. But these predators still exist in wild areas. And humans often visit these wild areas. For fun. The last two words hung in the air. For fun. Humans went to places with lions and bears and sharks. For entertainment. For enjoyment. ZYX felt dizzy. Jake spoke up. Yeah, my family went to Yellowstone National Park last year. We saw bears and wolves. It was amazing. We took so many pictures. An alien made a choking sound. Sarah added, I went diving in Australia. Saw lots of sharks. They are actually pretty chill if you do not bother them. Two more aliens stood up and left the room. They could not handle this anymore. Professor waited for them to leave. Then he continued. Now we will discuss smaller creatures. He showed an image of a spider. This is an arachnid. 8 legs. Most species have venom. Some species have venom strong enough to kill a human in minutes. Cree dropped her stress crystal. It shattered on the floor. She did not pick it up. Professor showed more spiders. Big ones. Small ones. Hairy ones. Smooth ones. There are over 40,000 species of spiders on Earth. They exist on every continent except Antarctica. Some can jump. Some can swim. Some are so small you cannot see them easily. Marcus laughed. Oath man, my little sister is terrified of spiders. She screams whenever she sees one. So humans know spiders are dangerous. ZYX thought. Even humans fear them. That makes sense. But then Marcus continued. I keep telling her they are harmless. Most spiders cannot even hurt humans. They eat mosquitoes and other bugs. Wait, most spiders cannot hurt humans. That meant human skin was too tough for spider fangs. ZYX wrote this down. Human skin resists spider venom. Possible natural armor. Need more research. Professor showed another creature. This is a scorpion. Related to spiders. Has a venomous stinger on its tail. Can survive extreme temperatures. Some species can live without food for a year. Then came the jellyfish. The box jellyfish is one of the most venomous creatures on Earth. Its sting causes extreme pain and can lead to death within minutes. And humans swim in the same water as these things. ZYX could not understand it. Why would anyone enter the water, knowing jellyfish existed there? Morning arrived and ZYX felt like a walking corpse. He had not slept in 3 days. His 4 eyes were bloodshot and painful. His arms felt weak and heavy. But he forced himself to get up and go to class. He had to know the truth. The hallway was empty and quiet. Most students were avoiding this area completely. Some had even left the academy. They transferred to other programs. They claimed Earth studies were too stressful for their health. ZYX reached the classroom door. He stood outside for a moment. His hand hovered over the entry button. He could still turn back. He could leave right now. No one would blame him. But he pressed the button. The door opened. Inside the classroom were only 3 alien students. ZYX, Cree, and a large rock like being named Thud. Thud came from a silicon-based species. His people were known for being tough and fearless. Even Thud looked nervous today. His rocky surface was covered in stress cracks. The 3 humans were already seated. They were passing around a container of food. Jake offered some to Sarah. She took a piece and ate it. They were so casual, so relaxed. Like this was just another normal day. Professor Thalrex entered the room. He was carrying a thick folder. The folder had red warning labels all over it. Classified, restricted, authorized personnel only. He dropped the folder on his desk with a heavy thud. Good morning. He looked at the 3 alien students. You 3 are the bravest students I have ever taught. Most aliens would have run away by now. But you stayed. You kept coming back. Why? ZYX spoke first. His voice was quiet and tired. Because we need to understand. We need to know how they survived. Professor nodded slowly. Yes, understanding is important. Today you will get your answers. He opened the folder. Inside were hundreds of documents and images. Today we study human biology. We study what makes them different, what makes them special, what makes them the true apex predators of Earth. He pulled out the first document. Let's start with something simple. Human bones. The screen showed an image of a human skeleton. Cree made a small sound of fear. Even human bones look strange. Professor pointed at the image. Human bones are made of living tissue. When they break the body, repairs them. But here is the interesting part. The repaired bone grows back stronger than before. Thud spoke for the first time. His voice sounded like grinding rocks. That is impossible. Bones cannot improve themselves. Professor smiled. With most species, you would be correct. But humans are not most species. Their bodies learn from damage. They adapt. They become tougher. He showed medical scans. This human broke his arm. 6 weeks later, the bone was healed. The healed section was 30% stronger than the original bone. Marcus raised his hand. Yeah, I broke my arm twice when I was a kid. First time falling off my bike. Second time playing football. Works fine now. He lifted his arm and moved it around to demonstrate. See? Perfect. The 3 aliens stared. He broke his arm twice. Twice. And he was smiling about it. Professor continued. Now let us discuss human endurance. This is where things become truly frightening. He showed a video of humans running. These humans are participating in what they call a marathon. They run for 42 kilometers. Without stopping. For fun. Cree whispered. 42 kilometers. That is madness. Professor nodded. Yes, but it gets worse. He showed another video. This is called an ultramarathon. These humans run for 160 kilometers. Some races last for days. ZYX felt sick. Days of running. Non-stop. Why would anyone do that? Jake explained. It is about pushing yourself. Testing your limits. Seeing what you are capable of. Humans are pursuit predators. Professor said. In ancient times, they would chase prey animals until the prey collapsed from exhaustion. Humans can run slower than most predators, but they can run longer than anything else. They never stop. They never give up. They just keep coming. He showed graphs and charts. Human body temperature regulation is extremely efficient. They sweat to cool down. They can maintain activity in temperatures that would kill most species. They can hunt in the middle of the day when other predators must rest. Thud spoke again. What about pain? Surely they feel pain like everyone else. Professor's expression became dark. Yes, they feel pain, but they have learned to ignore it. He showed medical reports. This human gave birth to a child in a parking area, then drove herself to the hospital. This human finished a marathon with a broken leg bone. This human continued working after being stabbed. Each example was more insane than the last. The aliens could not process this information. Sarah spoke up. Well, yeah. Sometimes you just have to push through. You have things to do. You cannot let pain stop you. Cannot let pain stop you. ZYX wrote in his notes. Humans ignore severe physical trauma, possible mental damage, or possibly just insane. Professor pulled out another document. Now we come to the most terrifying part. Human chemistry. When humans face danger, their bodies release a chemical called adrenaline. This chemical makes them stronger, faster, more resistant to pain. For several minutes, they become nearly unstoppable. He showed a news article. This human mother lifted a vehicle to save her trapped child. The vehicle weighed over 1,000 kilograms. She lifted it with pure muscle strength. Cree dropped her datapad. That is impossible. No biological creature can do that. Professor looked at her. Cree, you must stop saying that word. You must stop saying impossible. Because humans prove that word wrong every single day. He showed more examples. Humans fighting off predators. Humans surviving falls that should have killed them. Humans walking away from vehicle crashes. Humans pulling others from burning buildings. Professor finally reached his last slide. And now we come to the most dangerous animal on Earth. The creature that kills more humans than any other. Everyone leaned forward. What could it be? A super bear. A mega shark. A giant spider. The slide appeared. It showed a large gray animal. It looked fat and slow. Almost cute in a weird way. This is a hippopotamus. Professor said quietly. It kills approximately 500 humans every year. More than lions. More than crocodiles. More than sharks. The hippo is the deadliest large animal on Earth. An alien raised his hand, but it looked so peaceful, so slow. Professor pulled up a video. Watch. The video showed a hippopotamus running. Its massive body moved with incredible speed. Its mouth opened wide, revealing enormous teeth. It chased a vehicle and almost caught it. The hippo was faster than the car. That is impossible. Someone whispered. That thing weighs thousands of kilograms. How can it move so fast? Professor paused the video. Hippos can run at 46 kilometers per hour on land. They are territorial and aggressive. Their bite force is 1,800 pounds. They can bite a crocodile in half. Jake raised his hand. Yeah, hippos are no joke. Everyone knows to stay away from them. They look cute, but they are super dangerous. Finally, ZYX thought, finally a human admits something on Earth is dangerous. But then Jake continued. Of course, the really dangerous stuff is smaller, like mosquitoes. They kill way more people than hippos. Professor Thalrex nodded. Yes, we will discuss insects and parasites in our next class. Cree made a sound like a dying animal. There is more. There are things worse than everything we saw today. Professor looked at the clock. Class dismissed. Please get rest tonight. Tomorrow will be difficult. Everyone left quickly. ZYX walked slowly to his room. His mind was full of images. Bears and sharks and spiders and hippos. Earth was a nightmare planet. How did humans smile and laugh? How did they sleep at night, knowing all these creatures existed around them? He reached his room and locked the door. He sat on his bed and stared at the wall. Tomorrow they would learn about insects. Tiny creatures. Probably millions of them. Probably everywhere. Probably in human homes and beds and food. ZYX did not sleep that night either. He just sat and waited for morning. When dawn came, he made a decision. He would attend one more class. Just one more. He needed to understand the final piece. He needed to know what could possibly be more dangerous than everything he had already learned. Because Professor Thalrex had said something yesterday. Something that ZYX almost missed. Tomorrow we will discuss the real apex predator of Earth. Not the animals. The humans themselves. In every case, adrenaline was the answer. Their bodies had a built-in emergency system. When they needed strength, they simply created it. Jake laughed. Yeah, adrenaline is wild. One time I was camping, and a bear got into our food storage. I picked up a huge log and threw it at the bear. Did not even think about it. Just reacted. After the bear left, I tried to lift the same log again. Could not even move it. That adrenaline strength is crazy. A bear. He threw a log at a bear. And he was laughing about it. Professor closed that folder and opened another one. Now let us discuss healing. Human bodies can repair almost any damage given enough time. Cuts heal. Burns heal. Even internal organs can regenerate to some degree. The human liver can regrow from just 30% of its original mass. He showed surgical reports. This human had part of his liver removed. Within 2 months, it grew back to full size. This human lost a large section of skin to burns. The skin regenerated over time. This human's heart stopped for 20 minutes. Doctors revived him and he lived. Thud made a grinding noise. His species did not have hearts, but he understood the concept. No heart function for 20 minutes should mean death. But this human lived. How? Professor shrugged. Human doctors are very skilled. But also human bodies simply refuse to die. They fight to survive. Every cell in their body is programmed for survival. He showed statistics. Human survival rates for injuries have improved dramatically over the centuries. Not just because of medicine, but because humans study death. They learn from it. They figure out how to reverse it. Marcus spoke quietly. My grandfather had a heart attack. Doctors brought him back. He lived another 15 years. Died peacefully in his sleep at age 90. Professor nodded. Yes, human lifespan has increased significantly. They used to live only 30 to 40 years. Now, many lived past 100 years. They doubled their lifespan through science and medicine. ZYX was writing frantically. Every new fact was more shocking than the last. Professor pulled out his final document. And now we reach the end of today's lesson. Human immune systems. He showed microscopic images. Human bodies are constantly at war. Millions of bacteria and viruses try to invade every day. The human immune system fights them all. It remembers every disease it encounters. It builds defenses. It adapts. Cree spoke softly. All species have immune systems. What makes humans special? Professor's voice became very serious. Human immune systems are aggressive, extremely aggressive. They attack anything foreign with overwhelming force. Sometimes they attack too hard and damage the human's own body. They would rather cause harm than let an invader survive. He showed more data. Humans can survive diseases that wipe out entire populations of other species. Their bodies learn. Their bodies remember. Their bodies pass that information to their children through something called genetic memory. Thud asked a question. So humans are superior beings. Perfect organisms. Professor shook his head quickly. No, not perfect. Not even close. Humans are fragile in many ways. They can die from simple infections. They can die from falling wrong. They can die from eating incorrect foods. But they survive anyway. They survive through intelligence, through determination, through sheer stubborn refusal to give up. The classroom was silent. Everyone was thinking about what they had learned. Professor looked at the clock. We have one more class session. Tomorrow I will explain how humans conquered their planet, how they went from prey to predator, how they became the dominant species on a death world. Class dismissed. The three aliens stood slowly. Their bodies ached from stress. ZYX looked at the humans. They were packing their bags and chatting about lunch plans. They had just sat through a lesson about how terrifying they were, and they were thinking about food. As ZYX left the room, he heard Sarah say something. You know, I never really thought about how tough we are. I guess we just do what we have to do. Jake agreed. Yeah, Earth is home. We are built for it. Marcus laughed. Built for it. More like we refused to die until we figured it out. They all laughed together. ZYX walked faster. He needed to get away. He needed to think. Tomorrow was the final lesson. Tomorrow he would learn how humans became the masters of Earth. How they turned a planet, trying to kill them, into a home. How they looked at the deadliest world in the galaxy and said, "This is mine now." ZYX returned to his room. He sat on his bed. He stared at his notes. Pages and pages of facts about humans. Every fact proved the same thing. Humans should not exist. They survived conditions that were impossible. They thrived where they should have died. They became strong through suffering. They became smart through necessity. They became unstoppable through determination. And tomorrow he would learn the final truth. The truth that Professor Thalrex had been building toward all week. The truth about what happened when humans worked together. When they unified, when they focused all that strength and intelligence and determination toward a single goal. ZYX closed his eyes. He already knew the answer. When humans worked together, they became something greater than the sum of their parts. They became a force that nothing could stop. Not the weather, not the predators, not even their own deadly planet. Tomorrow would be the last lesson, and ZYX had a feeling it would be the most important one of all. ZYX woke up before his alarm. He had actually slept for a few hours. Maybe his body was too exhausted to stay awake anymore. Or maybe he had finally accepted the terrifying reality of humans. He got ready slowly and walked to the classroom. Today was different. Today he felt calm. He had survived 4 days of nightmare lessons. One more day would not break him. The classroom looked empty at first. Then he saw Cree sitting in her usual spot. She had her stress crystal replaced with a new one. This one glowed soft blue instead of bright white. Thud was there too. The big rock alien had a large crack running down his left side. Stress damage. His people cracked under extreme pressure. But he was still here, still attending, still learning. The 3 humans arrived together. They were laughing about something. Jake was showing a video on his device. Sarah and Marcus were watching and smiling. They looked so happy, so innocent, so completely unaware of how terrifying they were. Professor Thalrex entered last. He looked better today. His scales had regained some of their color. His eyes were less tired. He actually smiled when he saw the 3 alien students. You 3 have made it to the final day. I am impressed. Truly, most aliens never make it this far. He set down his materials. Today, we discuss the human mind, their intelligence, their creativity, their problem-solving ability. This is what makes humans truly dangerous. Not their bodies, not their endurance, their minds. He pressed a button. The screen showed a simple question. What do you do when faced with an impossible problem? Cree answered first. We accept it. We find a different path. Thud agreed. We adapt our expectations. We change our goals. Professor nodded. Yes, those are reasonable responses. He looked at the humans. And what do humans do? Jake shrugged. We fix it. We figure it out. Sarah added. We try different solutions until something works. Marcus grinned. We refuse to accept that it is impossible. Professor smiled. Exactly. Humans do not accept the word impossible. They see it as a challenge, an invitation. They look at problems and say, not yet instead of never. He showed historical images. Humans wanted to fly. They had no wings, no natural ability for flight. Did they accept this limitation? No. They studied birds for years. They did mathematics. They built machines. They tested and failed and tested again. Within 100 years, they flew to their moon. The 3 aliens looked at each other. The moon. Humans went to their moon. That required massive amounts of technology and planning. Thud spoke slowly. How long did it take other species to reach their moons? Professor checked his notes. The average species reaches their moon approximately 2,000 years after developing space interest. Humans did it in less than 100 years. Why the rush? Jake answered. Because President Kennedy said we would do it. He made it a goal. Americans love a good challenge. Professor nodded. Yes, humans set goals and achieve them through determination. But let us go deeper. Let us discuss human innovation. He showed images of tools. This is a rock. Humans looked at rocks and saw hammers. They saw weapons. They saw building materials. This is fire. Humans looked at uncontrolled combustion and saw cooking, heating, metalworking, light and darkness. This is wind. Humans looked at moving air and saw sailing. Windmills, energy generation. Every element of nature became a tool. He showed more examples. Humans turned sand into glass, turned glass into lenses, turned lenses into telescopes, turned telescopes into windows to the universe. Each step built on the previous step. Each innovation led to another innovation. Sarah raised her hand. Sir, is that unusual? Do other species not do this? Professor looked at her. Other species innovate, but not at the human pace, not with the human intensity. Humans look at everything and ask, how can I use this? How can I improve this? How can I make this better? You weaponize creativity. He showed weapons throughout human history. Rocks became spears. Spears became arrows. Arrows became bullets. Bullets became missiles. Missiles became nuclear weapons. Humans went from throwing stones to splitting atoms in just 10,000 years. Marcus spoke quietly. Yeah, we are pretty good at making weapons. Maybe too good sometimes. Professor agreed. Yes, human destructive capability is terrifying, but so is your constructive capability. He showed buildings, bridges, dams, cities, roads connecting continents, tunnels through mountains, structures reaching into the sky. Humans reshaped their entire planet. Cree whispered to ZYX. They changed the whole planet, the entire surface. How is that possible? ZYX whispered back. I do not know. I stopped asking that question. Professor continued. Now, let us discuss something uniquely human. Something that fascinates and terrifies other species. Pack bonding. He showed images of humans with various animals. Dogs, Cats, horses, birds, even reptiles and fish. Humans bond with anything. They make friends with creatures that should be their enemies. They adopt predators as family members. They risk their lives to save animals. Thud asked, why do they do this? What benefit does it provide? Jake answered, because we love them, because they make us happy, because life is better with friends. Even if those friends are different species. Professor showed more images. This human befriended a crow. The crow brought her gifts. This human raised a lion cub. They remain friends for 20 years. This human swims with sharks regularly. The sharks recognize him and do not attack. Sarah pulled out her device. Do you want to see my snake now? I promise he is friendly. All 3 aliens shouted together. No. Please no. Put that away. Sarah sighed and put her device away. You're all missing out. He is really cute. Professor cleared his throat. Yes. Well, human pack bonding extends beyond animals. Humans bond with plants, with vehicles, with machines. They name their ships. They talk to their computers. They apologize to furniture when they bump into it. Marcus laughed. Yeah, I named my car. Her name is Bessie. She is a good car. Bessie has never let me down. ZYX wrote in his notes. Humans form emotional attachments to inanimate objects. Possible mental disorder, or possibly advanced empathy. Unclear. Professor moved to his next topic. Now we discuss something darker. Something that makes humans truly feared across the galaxy. Spite. The room became very quiet. Professor's voice was serious. When humans are pushed too far, they stop caring about survival. They enter a state where revenge becomes more important than life itself. They will sacrifice everything just to harm their enemy. He showed historical battles and wars. This human soldier held a bridge alone against 300 enemies. He knew he would die. He did not care. He wanted to slow them down for his friends. This human pilot crashed his damaged aircraft into an enemy ship. Suicide attack. But it destroyed the enemy. This human continued fighting with 5 arrows in his body. He refused to fall until his friends were safe. Kree was shaking. They choose death over retreat. Thud added, they prioritize others over themselves. Professor nodded. Yes, humans have something they call honor. They have codes of behavior. They have principles they refuse to violate even when facing death. This makes them unpredictable. This makes them dangerous. Jake spoke softly. We do not want to fight. We prefer peace. But if you threaten our families, our friends, our home, we will fight until we cannot fight anymore. Professor looked at him. Yes, that is what makes humans so frightening. You are peaceful until you are not. You are friendly until you are threatened. Then you become something else entirely. You become unstoppable. He showed more recent images. Human rescue workers running into burning buildings. Human doctors working in disease zones. Human volunteers helping strangers. But notice, in all these situations humans are risking their lives. They see danger and run toward it, not away from it. Most species have survival instincts that prevent this behavior. Humans override those instincts constantly. Sarah explained, someone has to help. Someone has to do the hard things. We cannot just stand by and watch bad things happen. Professor smiled sadly. And that is why humans conquered Earth. Not through strength alone. Not through intelligence alone. Through compassion combined with determination. Through the willingness to sacrifice for others. Through the refusal to give up even when giving up makes logical sense. He showed a final image. A human standing on a mountain peak. Arms raised in victory. This is a human spirit. They climb impossible heights. They face impossible odds. They achieve impossible goals. And when they reach the top, they plant their flag and say, I did this. Then they look for the next mountain to climb. The classroom was silent for a long moment. Finally, Thud spoke. Professor, what happens when humans work together? What happens when millions of them focus on a single goal? Professor's smile grew wider. That is an excellent question. And that will be our topic tomorrow. Our final lesson. The day the galaxy discovered humanity. Class dismissed. The three aliens stood up slowly. They were exhausted. 5 days of learning about the most terrifying species in the galaxy had drained them completely, but they would return tomorrow. They had to know how the story ended. As they left, ZYX looked back at the humans. Jake waved at him. ZYX hesitated. Then he waved back. It was a small gesture, a human gesture, but it felt right. In the hallway, Kree spoke quietly. Do you think we have been wrong to fear them? ZYX thought about this. No, fear is natural. Fear keeps us safe. But maybe fear is not the only thing we should feel. Thud rumbled in agreement. They are dangerous, but they are also kind. They are violent, but they are also peaceful. They are a contradiction. ZYX nodded. Yes, humans are walking contradictions. They survive by being adaptable, by being flexible, by being whatever the situation requires. That night, ZYX did sleep. He dreamed of Earth. He dreamed of humans climbing mountains, swimming in poison oceans, living with predators, building cities, reaching for the stars. In his dream, he saw human children playing. They were laughing and running, completely unaware that they were the toughest species in the galaxy. They just thought they were normal. And maybe that was the scariest part. Humans had no idea how special they were. They had no idea how much they had achieved. They just lived their lives. They just did what needed to be done. They just existed. And their existence alone changed the entire galaxy. Tomorrow, ZYX would learn the final truth. Tomorrow, he would understand why the Academy was built, why aliens needed to study humans, why the galaxy needed to prepare for humanity's arrival. Tomorrow would answer all his questions, but would also raise new ones. Because once you understood humans, you realized something terrifying. They were still evolving, still improving, still reaching for something greater. What would humans become in another 1,000 years? Another 1,000,000 years? What was their final form? What was their ultimate potential? These questions kept ZYX awake for another hour, but eventually exhaustion won. He slept, and he dreamed of tomorrow. The final day arrived. ZYX woke up feeling strange. Not scared anymore. Not tired. Just curious. He wanted to know the ending. He wanted to understand the complete picture. He walked to the classroom for the last time. Kree and Thud were already there. They looked different too. More confident. More ready. They had survived the entire week. They had learned things that broke other students. But they were still here. The three humans arrived right on time. But today something was different. They were quieter than usual. More serious. Like they knew today's lesson was important. Professor Thalrex entered carrying nothing. No folders. No documents. No data pads. Just himself. He stood at the front of the classroom and looked at each student. His eyes lingered on the three aliens. You three have completed the hardest course in this academy. Many students take years to finish what you did in 1 week. You should be proud. Kree spoke softly. Professor, we did not do anything special. We just attended class. Professor shook his head. No, you did something very special. You faced your fear. You looked at the unknown and chose understanding over running away. That takes real courage. He turned to the humans. And you three, thank you for your patience this week. I know some of the lessons were difficult to hear. Jake smiled. It is okay, Professor. We learn a lot too. We never really thought about how different we are. Professor nodded. Yes, that is part of what makes humans so remarkable. You do not see yourselves as special. You just see yourselves as normal. He walked to the center of the room. Today I will tell you a story. A true story. The story of how the galaxy discovered humanity. He began speaking. His voice was calm and clear. 200 years ago, we found Earth. Our scout ships detected unusual energy signatures coming from your solar system. We were curious. We sent a research vessel to investigate. When they arrived, they were shocked. The planet was a Class 12 death world, the worst rating possible. The team leader wanted to leave immediately. No intelligent life could survive there. It was impossible. But then they detected something. Radio signals, television broadcasts, digital communications. Something intelligent was down there. Something was not just surviving, it was thriving. Thud leaned forward. What did they do? Professor continued. They debated for 3 days. Finally, they decided to make contact. They landed in a place called New York City. He paused. Imagine their surprise. They expected to find a few primitive survivors, small tribes hiding in caves, fighting every day just to stay alive. Instead, they found millions of humans. They found massive buildings made of steel and glass. They found vehicles everywhere. Flying machines in the sky, boats in the water, trains underground. They found art, music, entertainment. They found humans laughing and playing and living. Sarah smiled. Yeah, New York is pretty amazing. Professor nodded. The aliens could not believe it. How could any species build all of this on a death world? How could they have energy to create art when they should be focused on survival? The team leader approached a group of humans. He introduced himself. He explained that he came from another planet. He expected fear. He expected panic. Instead, the humans were excited. They asked questions. They wanted to learn. They offered food and shelter. They treated the aliens like honored guests. Marcus laughed. That sounds about right. Humans love meeting new people, even if those people are from space. Professor smiled. Yes, your curiosity is remarkable. But then the team leader made a mistake. He asked a human how they survived on such a dangerous planet. The human looked confused. She said Earth is not dangerous. Earth is home. We love it here. The alien team could not process this. They showed the human their planetary danger ratings. They explained that Earth was Class 12, the most dangerous classification. The human laughed. She thought they were joking. She said Earth is beautiful. It has everything we need. Sure, the weather can be rough sometimes, and you have to watch out for wild animals. But that is just normal life. Jake nodded. Yeah, Earth is home. It is all we have ever known. Professor continued. The team leader realized something important that day. Humans had no comparison. They did not know that other planets were safer. They did not know that other species lived on gentle worlds with calm weather and friendly animals. Humans thought their death world was normal. And because they thought it was normal, they did not waste energy being afraid. They just lived. Cree whispered. They did not know they were doing the impossible. Professor agreed. Exactly. Ignorance became strength. Humans did not know they should fail. So they did not fail. They just kept trying, kept building, kept learning. He walked slowly around the room. The alien team returned to their ship. They sent a report to the Galactic Council. The report said humans were dangerous, not because they were violent, not because they were hostile, but because they were capable, because they had conquered a planet that should have killed them, because they had no concept of limitations. The thud rumbled. The council was afraid. Professor nodded. Yes, very afraid. They held emergency meetings. They debated what to do. Some wanted to quarantine Earth, keep humans contained, never let them leave their planet. Others wanted to welcome humans, learn from them, understand them. The debate lasted for months. Then something happened that changed everything. He paused for dramatic effect. A human ship appeared in orbit around the council headquarters. Impossible. All three aliens said together. Professor smiled. That is what the council said. Humans should not have space travel yet. They should not have faster-than-light engines. They should be decades away from leaving their solar system. But there they were, flying a ship they had built themselves, using technology they had invented themselves, arriving uninvited but friendly. Sarah grinned. We got impatient. We saw your ships. We figured out the basics of your engines. We built our own version. Took us about 5 years. Professor laughed. Yes, 5 years. Do you know how long it takes most species to develop faster than light travel? An average of 300 years from first contact. Humans did it in 5, because you saw it was possible. And once humans know something is possible, they make it happen. He continued the story. The human ship sent a message to the council. The message was simple. Hello, we come in peace. We want to be friends. We want to learn. We want to help. The council panicked. They sent warships. They surrounded the human vessel. They demanded the humans leave immediately. The human captain responded calmly. She said, "We will leave if you want, but we came all this way. Can we at least talk first? Maybe share a meal?" Marcus spoke quietly. "That sounds like something my mom would say, always offering food to guests." Professor nodded. The council agreed to meet. They sent their strongest warriors, their best negotiators, their most intimidating representatives. The humans sent their captain and 2 crew members, just 3 humans, unarmed, smiling, offering gifts of earth food and music. The meeting lasted 6 hours. The council tried to intimidate the humans, tried to establish dominance, tried to make them afraid. The humans just kept asking questions, kept offering friendship, kept being genuinely interested in learning. Finally, the head of the council asked the human captain a direct question. "Why are you here? What do you want from us?" The captain smiled. She said, "We want nothing except friendship. We are alone in the universe. At least we thought we were. Now we know there are others. We want to meet them, learn from them, share with them, grow together." Cree had tears in her eyes. They just wanted friends. Professor's voice became soft. Yes, after everything they survived, after conquering their death world, after building civilization, after reaching the stars, humans just wanted to not be alone anymore. The council did not know what to do with that. They had weapons pointed at the human ship. They had demands prepared. They had threats ready. And the humans responded with friendship, pure, simple, honest friendship. Thud spoke slowly. What happened next? Professor smiled. The council made a decision. They would not quarantine Earth. They would not restrict humanity. Instead, they would build something new. An academy where aliens could learn about humans, where species could come together, where fear could be replaced with understanding. He gestured around the classroom. This academy, this building, this entire program. It exists because of that meeting. Because humans chose peace over conflict. Because humans offered friendship to beings who pointed weapons at them. Jake looked surprised. "I did not know that. I thought the academy was just a normal school." Professor shook his head. "No, this academy was built specifically to help the galaxy prepare for humanity. Because the council realized something important. Humans were coming. Nothing could stop them. They would spread across the stars. They would meet every species. They would explore every world. The galaxy had 2 choices. Fight them or join them. The council chose wisely. ZYX finally spoke. His voice was steady. They chose to join. Professor nodded. "Yes, because the council understood what I hope you 3 understand now. Humans are dangerous, but they are not evil. They are powerful, but they are not cruel. They are unstoppable, but they use that power to help others." He walked to the window. Outside, the stars shone brightly. Somewhere among those stars was Earth. "Look out there. Humans have spread to 47 colonies now. They live on different worlds. They work with different species. They build. They create. They explore. And everywhere they go, they make friends." Sarah stood up and joined him at the window. "We just want to see what is out there. We want to know we are not alone." Professor looked at her. "You are not alone. You never were. The galaxy was waiting for you. We just did not know it yet." He turned back to the class. "So what did we learn this week? Humans come from a death world. Correct. They have incredible physical abilities. Correct. They are intelligent and creative. Correct. But none of that is what makes them truly special." Cree asked, "Then what does?" Professor smiled. "Hope. Humans have hope. They believe tomorrow will be better than today. They believe problems can be solved. They believe in second chances. They believe in each other. Hope kept them alive on Earth. Hope drove them to the stars. Hope makes them reach out to strangers and offer friendship. Hope is humanity's superpower." The room was quiet. Everyone was thinking. Finally, Marcus spoke. "Professor, we are not special. We are just people doing our best." Professor shook his head gently. That is exactly what makes you special. You do not give up. You keep trying. You keep caring. You keep hoping. Even when the universe itself seems designed to crush you. Thud stood up slowly. He walked over to the humans. His rocky body moved with surprising grace. I was afraid of you. I admit this. But now I understand. You are not monsters. You are survivors. And survivors make the best friends. Because they understand struggle. Because they value life. Because they never take anything for granted. Jake stood and offered his hand. Friends. Thud looked at the hand. Then carefully he reached out. Their hands met. One soft human hand. One hard rocky hand. But both equally strong. Friends. Cree joined them. She extended her thin blue arms. I choose understanding over fear. I choose friendship over isolation. Sarah took her hands gently. Thank you. Thank you for staying. Thank you for learning. Thank you for giving us a chance. ZYX was the last. He stood slowly. He walked to the group. All four of his arms were shaking slightly. I came here thinking you were monsters. I spent a week learning about your planet, your bodies, your minds, your history. And you know what I discovered? Jake asked, What? ZYX smiled. I discovered you are the bravest species in the galaxy, not because you are fearless, but because you are afraid and you do it anyway. You face your dangerous planet every day. You could hide. You could give up. But you do not. You live. You laugh. You love. You hope. That is true courage. He extended all four arms. I want to be your friend. The humans embraced him carefully. All of them together. Aliens and humans. Different species. Different worlds. Different bodies. But the same hearts. The same hope. The same desire for connection. Professor Thalrex watched them. His eyes were bright. This is why I teach. This is why the Academy exists. Not to study humans like laboratory subjects, but to build bridges, to create understanding, to turn fear into friendship. He cleared his throat. Class dismissed. Forever. You have all graduated. But remember what you learned here. ZYX, Cree, Thud. You face your fear and found friends. Teach others to do the same. Jake, Sarah, Marcus, you showed patience and kindness to those who feared you. Never lose that gentle strength. They all nodded. As they left the classroom together, they were no longer divided, no longer separated by fear. They were simply friends, walking together, talking, laughing, planning to meet for lunch. Professor Thalrex stood alone in the empty classroom. He looked out at the stars. Earth was out there, that beautiful, deadly, impossible planet. And its people were spreading across the galaxy, teaching aliens how to hope, how to dream, how to believe in the impossible. He smiled. Maybe Earth did not make monsters. Maybe Earth made exactly what the galaxy needed. Teachers, friends, dreamers who refused to give up. Survivors who became helpers, warriors who chose peace. And maybe that was a real lesson. The universe was not divided into strong and weak, dangerous and safe, predator and prey. The universe was full of potential, full of possibility, full of species waiting to learn from each other. Humans had learned that lesson on their death world. Now, they were teaching it to everyone else. One friendship at a time. One act of kindness at a time. One shared meal at a time. Professor Thalrex turned off the lights. He locked the classroom door. Tomorrow new students would arrive. New aliens afraid of humans. And he would teach them the same lesson. Fear is natural, but friendship is stronger. Understanding is better than ignorance. Hope is more powerful than despair. He walked down the empty hallway. Behind him the classroom was dark. But somewhere students were laughing together, sharing stories, building friendships that would last a lifetime. And that was worth everything. That was why he taught. That was why the Academy existed. Not to fear the death world species, but to welcome them, to learn from them, to grow alongside them. Because in the end, humans taught the galaxy the most important lesson of all. Surviving is important, but living is better. And living is always better with friends.